So students, we are resuming from where we left in the last session of the video. We were discussing about the imaginations of epidermis, endodermis. These deep imaginations are termed as epidermal pegs, and opposite to them, the structure of dermis, which is penetrating deep inside the epidermis, so that they can zip together to give the strength. One side, the epidermis is invaginating deep into the other side, and from the other side, the dermis is actually invaginating deep into the epidermis to form a strong connection there between the two layers of skin. Those two structures which are involved in this zipping of the two layers are epidermal pegs, the invagination of epidermis deep inside dermis, and opposite to that, the dermis is invaginating deep into the dermis, and that structure is termed as dermal papilla. So you can say that here you can identify in this micrograph the invagination of dermis inside the epidermis as a dermal papilla. Opposite to that, this invagination of epidermis into the dermis is termed as these two or epidermal pegs. So now looking at the second micrograph, this is the first layer of the skin, epidermis. As you can see that it is very thin, and compared to that, this layer is as indicated in this labeled line as D is dermis, and below that the connective tissue part with lots of adipose tissue is hypodermis inside. And if we look at the part of dermis, this superficial layer which is appearing light, less fibrous, this is papillary layer, and then the thick part of the dermis which is more fibrous in nature is the reticular layer of the dermis. And then we can see that there are sweat glands, sebaceous glands, and hair follicles. All these structures are actually the epidermal pegs. So in this micrograph, you can see easily the visualized or labeled part, the epidermis first layer, and then the second part is dermis. And within dermis, it is quite evident in this micrograph that the more cellular part with less fibrous appearance. Some book says that this part is loose connective tissue is the papillary part, and then deep inside the more thicker part of the dermis, which is more fibrous due to the presence of long bundles of collagen fiber is dermis. And similarly, you can easily see that the part which is labeled as A with a bracket is the papillary part of the dermis, and below that the more fibrous arrangement of the dermis is actually reticular part of the dermis. Next, if we talk about the next micrograph, so in next figure, there actually the next slide, that is the basic description of epidermal appendages. These epidermal appendages are all the structures which are actually present within the dermis of the layer, intradermal structures, but they are epithelial structures. Epithelial structures which are, so these structures are epithelial structures, derivatives of epidermis, which is epithelium but present within the dermis. So these structures are collectively termed as epidermal appendages. The appendages which we are going to include in our practical are actually three structures: sebaceous gland, sweat glands, and hair itself. So what is actually hair? This is again a more detailed theoretical part, but looking at the hair, the most visible part of hair which is present outside the skin, as the scalp of the skull is being covered by those hairs, that the visible part is shaft, and then the embedded part of the hair within the skin, or the more precisely within the invagination of the epidermis, is the hair root, the root of the hair, as written The shaft, it is the more projected part outside the skin, and then the root, it is the embedded part within the hair follicle. So what is hair follicle? Hair follicle is actually the invagination of epidermis within the dermis. So hair itself is actually made up of, this is more theoretical, discussed, will be discussed in theory, that hair itself is made up of three layers. The outermost is cuticle, cortex, medulla. Then if we talk about the hair follicle, as been seen in this figure, the invagination of the epidermis is termed as hair follicle, and within the hair follicle, the most distal widened part is termed as hair bulb. And in most of the cases, the hair is associated with a bundle of smooth muscle, which on one side is attached with the external root sheath, which is the epidermal invagination, and on the other side, it is attached with the junction, at the junction of the epidermis and dermis. So this bundle, a schematic diagram indicating erector pili muscle, it is actually a bundle of smooth muscle which on one side is attached with the root sheath of the hair follicle, and on the other side it is attached with the junction of the epidermis and dermis. And this muscle is actually responsible for the movement of the hair, like you must have heard about the goosebumps. So that depression in which the hair is basically, you can say that straighten up, that movement is due to the stress, uh, shortening of the muscles in erector pili bundle of smooth muscles. Another schematic diagram, not that is not schematic, that is the actual micrograph. You can see that in this, the epidermis is the most superficial layer of the skin, but what is evident, and there are a lot of hair follicles present in this micrograph. So presence of hair follicle and their associated species gland is another indication that the micrograph is taken from the thin skin. So one of the clue to tell you about the differences between the thick skin and thin skin, thick skin never have in normal condition a hair follicle or hair present on it. But in case of thin skin, you can see the palm don't have any hairs, but that of the palm, the hand skin, which is thin, is covered by hair also. So this presence of hair follicle is also an indication that this micrograph is taken from a thin skin part. And then you can see that the hair follicles sometimes are present deep out inside the hypodermis as well. So this whitish part, which is indicating a lot of white adipose tissue. So this is the part where you can see the most of the hair follicles endpoints, the hair bulbs are present, and then traveling the entire length of the dermis, it is emerging from the opening in the epidermis. When this is a more magnified micrograph, you can see that there is a hair follicle, the embedded part within the dermis, and then it is attached with, then a muscle band is attached with the external root sheath as well. So another micrograph, a low magnified image, but what is more evident that in this micrograph you can visualize a hair follicle, then the expanded part of the hair follicle is hair bulb, and then along with that there are certain glands which are associated always with the hair follicle, which are species gland. Along with species gland, there are certain sweat glands as well in this micrograph. Moving towards species gland by nature, by the mode of secretion is a holocrine gland. We have discussed this thing in the previous semester. It is a type of simple branched compound alveolar gland where you can see several acini covering a short duct. But what is more important that each species gland is made up of two types of cells. The flattened cells, which are darkly stained, present at the base of the each alveoli. These are the basal cells, undifferentiated flattened cells. But when these cells divide, and these are the cells which are actively dividing and are the source of the second type of cells which are more evident than these cells which are more wider in size, bigger in size, exhibiting a central nucleus but a whitish cytoplasm due to the accumulation of the secretion sebum in them. These are the sebocytes, and then these sebocytes move upward towards the ductal portion, and then the pycnosis of the nuclei is evident towards the ductal portion where these cells are going to burst through the mode of holocrine to release their secretion. So identifying these two type of cells are more important in this micrograph. These basal cells, which are darkly stained, are the basal cells, undifferentiated cells, and then these are the sebocytes, and then these pycnotic cells are evident. Then these cells are releasing their secretion through the mode of holocrine in this ductal portion. That is more evident in this species gland unit alveolus, that these are the pycnotic nuclei indicating the bursting of the cells to release their secretion inside the hair follicle. In most of the cases, the species glands are always opening their ducts into the hair follicle, and due to the movement of hair electroply muscles, the secretion is secreted on the surface of the skin. Moving towards the last part, which is sweat glands. Sweat glands are epithelial derivatives embedded deep inside the dermis. Mostly, these glands open onto the surface, or in some cases, some types, they also open on the hair follicle as well. There are two types of sweat glands present in living bodies: acrine sweat glands and apocrine sweat glands. Now, this is one of the assignment which you have to cover from your book. It is the 10th chapter, integumentary system, and then going into detail of the acrine and apocrine sweat glands. You have to differentiate between the histological appearance of acrine or apocrine sweat glands, and then the second part, you have to differentiate between the secretory and excretory ductal units of a sweat gland. This difference between secretory and excretory ductal portion is same in acrine and apocrine glands. So there are basically two parts in this assignment. The clue for the first part is evident in this micrograph, but now looking at this part, this is also a clue, giving you a clue, the difference between the secretory unit and excretory or ductal portion. The difference is in the staining affinity of the secretory units compared to the excretory units, and then there is a difference between the lining epithelium also. So these 2 points you have to look into the book. So the next micrograph, you have to look at the broad demarcation line, which is indicating, and on the one side of the line in this micrograph, there are acrine sweat glands, and on the other side, there are apocrine sweat glands. The difference, histological appearance is quite evident. You have to look for this. And then there is a difference in the location of the acrine and apocrine sweat gland in the body as well. And then there are the differences in domestic species, which you have to look in Delman's book. So these are the certain online resources which you can consult for the histological practical of this integumentary system. So with this, now we are finished with the recording part. So we are going to stop it here.